I have never seen Stranger Things. Yes, I know, crazy work. I consider myself to be quite TV savvy, but I have to admit I have some gaps in my knowledge. Stranger Things is arguably the biggest, except maybe Walking Dead, but that is a whole new topic. But with the final season coming out, I figured it might be time to watch it, and as a new YouTuber, hey, why not make a video on it? So what I'll be doing is a breakdown of the first season, the plot, what I noticed, what I like, what I didn't like, and then maybe this could work as a good reminder for you before the final season comes out, or maybe you're rewatching the whole thing and need a YouTuber to talk about it with. I am that guy. Now, I will be making some predictions. I have not been living under a rock, so I know something. I watched the first episode when it came back way back when, and I have sort of a disorganized bundle of information from posters, Instagram reels, and people talking. But I always planned on watching it, so I try to avoid spoilers as much as I can. But here is what I know coming into the show. Hello, it's me from the future here editing. Turns out I did not need to put this disclaimer here. Once you watch the video and see the predictions I make, you'll truly believe I don't know shit. But anyway, yeah, enjoy the video and don't forget to subscribe. Continue. Steve is a beloved character who becomes friends with Dustin. The number of times I've seen that shot of them in the restaurant is ridiculous. Elle has psychic powers and her nose bleeds when she uses them. It's 80s nostalgia. There is a plant face monster and some kind of dark world. Elle is on the poster of season 4, so I know she's alive. Obviously, so is Dustin and Steve based on the clip that I was talking about. I want to say that Russia is involved somehow at some point. No idea how. And I know there is a villain who looks like the tiny version of the Colossal Titan from Attack on Titan, but I have no idea who he is. And that's it. So not a lot to go on, but that's good. It means this will be fun, going in blind and seeing where this journey takes me. But enough foreplay, let's begin. Okay, so I watched episode 1 to 3. The show starts with establishing the characters and the two main mysteries of season 1. What is happening in the lab, and where is Will, one of the members of the Goonie squad who's vanished. Obviously, these two mysteries will be intertwined. Will is kidnapped by the Slender Man, the police are looking for him, as are his friends to varying degrees of success. During their search, they find Eleven, who they now are calling Elle. She moves into Mike's basement. Nancy loses her virginity, Barb is also taken, and Will's mum is losing her mind. And the third episode ends with them seemingly finding Will's body. Now that the synopsis is done, let me discuss my thoughts. So I remember why I dropped this show way back when after episode 1. I felt like it was just leaning into predictable tropes. The nerdy gang, the older sister who falls for the nice guy who's actually an asshole, the poor family struggles, and the cop that is depressed from a family strategy. It's just by the book. But I am man enough to admit I'm starting to think I judged this show prematurely. I'm not saying I was wrong, but I was the opposite of right. I mean, it is popular for a reason, and I have a feeling now that it's going to start playing with these tropes. It hasn't done that much yet, but I feel like it's hinted there is more under the surface. For example, when watching it, I thought the main conflict of Barb was going to be her and Nancy's friendship drama, now that Nancy has had a glow up. Classic, my friend is hot now, and I'm not, so we start to grow apart. We've seen it a billion times. So when this scene played out...
This isn't you. I'm fine.
I was like, okay, here we go. But then, surprise, she was kidnapped. I was like, okay, maybe we're getting somewhere. Also, the show is progressing much faster than I expected. A lot of the things that I knew from the show before I even started was revealed or hinted at in the first few episodes, basically. I was not expecting the boys to find out about Elle's power so quickly. I was not expecting her nose to bleed straight away. I thought that was going to be a mid to end season reveal when she overdoes it with her powers. And then season 2 was going to focus on them curing or limiting her power somehow. I also did not expect the other world to be shown so quickly, nor the monster. I thought they were going to milk the mystery out of that with more silhouettes and light tricks. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more surprises coming up. But one question, how the hell did they make 5 seasons of this? At this pace, Mike will be president, Elle will be a demon lord, Dustin will be married with kids, and Lucas will be at university, I don't know. But the plot is rocketing forward. But either way, this is the vibe I'm getting from all these characters so far. Mike is the leader, the sort of main character of this group, the king of the nerds. He will spend the most time with Elle, with helping her open up, and will progress the story forward, which he sort of has already done in the first 3 episodes.
Maybe we can call you Elle, short for 11.
Lucas seems to be a bit of a negative Nelly. My guess is his role in the story is going to sort of be acting as the one who brings them back to Earth. He'll sort of be playing Zac Efron's role in Baywatch, where he'll be sort of pointing out how absurd it all is.
We have to take her to your mom. No.
But he'll still go along with it. Honestly, he is my least favorite of the group so far. So we go on to my favorite, Dustin. I now see why that shot of him is so popular. He is a ball of light. How can you not enjoy that toothless grin? He is almost the opposite of Lucas. He is the one that wants to be fully engulfed into the fantasy of it all. He'll be the one pointing out how cool everything is, even while they're in danger. But honestly, he's mostly my favorite at this point because he's got his priorities straight, asking the right questions.
You ever think Will went missing because he ran into something bad? And we're going to the exact same spot when we need his last scene?
I look forward to seeing more Dustin and also watching his relationship with Steve develop. Will. I think he will come back, but not till a few more episodes. Maybe even the final episode, as sort of like a season finale kind of thing. And I don't think he'll be the same. I'm sort of hoping that the time goes differently in the other world, and so he's lived there for a while, but I doubt they're going to do that. Overall, I like the group dynamic. As someone trying to get into D&D himself, I like the accurate representation.
How was I supposed to know it was going to take 10 hours?
I enjoy the fact they use specific language to interact with each other, but not like over the top nerdy language like in Big Bang Theory. There's a purpose to it. It's not just nerdy for nerdy's sake. It's cultural, but it doesn't feel forced. Elle so far is more of a bundle of anxiety than a character, and I don't mean that in a bad way. She has been through a crazy life, and I like the fact she's suffering from PTSD, panic attack in closed spaces and when reminded of triggers. It feels very real given her situation. I hope they do this thing where she isn't like scared of things that normal people are scared of, like the Gorgon, but she is scared from day-to-day normal activities because that's her life. It was so different. I was also shocked when she killed that dude. My jaw dropped. I was not expecting the show to go that dark so quickly. Next is Red Guardian, Hopper. They went deep into the archives and pulled out all the tropes for this man. Depressed city cop who lost someone close to him that sent him spiraling and eventually forced back to an old town where no crime happens until it does. When he was like, there is no crime here.
One of the worst things was when an owl attacked Eleanor Gillespie's head.
I was like, brother, you are in for such a tough ride. I enjoy the fact that he is competent at his job without being Sherlock Holmes. Noticing that it wasn't raining in the camera recordings is so simple, but not something that everyone would have thought of. I didn't notice it. They are also hinting at some past he shares with Will's mum.
The chief and her, they screwed before, huh?
My guess, childhood sweethearts that broke up because he wanted to go to the big city and she couldn't because she's poor. Damn poverty. Then again, I might just be going by tropes again. I could be wrong. Steve, I have a feeling he's going to bully the group. That's the obvious trope he represents, like the 80s bully. But so far, he is actually a good guy. I keep waiting for him to switch up, mostly because his friends are fucking assholes. But so far, he's been sweet to Nancy, he gave her reassurance when she's stressed.
He's probably just like skipping.
And he didn't switch up on her after sex, which I was sure was going to happen. The one scene where he did act a bit like a bully, I actually think he had a valid reason, which was Jonathan's camera.
What? This creep was spying on us last night. He's probably gonna save this one for later.
Like, on one hand, I feel bad for Jonathan because we know what he's going through. He's having to be a rock for his family as his mum's life is falling apart, especially now with his brother going missing. And considering their financial situation, that camera probably is the most expensive thing he's ever owned, and there is no way he's replacing it. However, he was being a creeper. I kept screaming at the screen, please stop. Like, he literally took a picture of Nancy as she was about to lose her virginity. That is incredibly inappropriate and breaking so many privacy boundaries. But whether you think Steve should or shouldn't have broken the camera is subjective, but he didn't do it just for the sake of being a dick like all the other bullies. He felt violated, Jonathan intruded on a private moment. Personally, I feel like Steve could have shown him a little bit more sympathy given his brother, but on a normal day, I actually wouldn't judge Steve for this. Also, so far, he is the funniest character. He made me laugh out loud.
I have to study. I'm not kidding.
Well, why do you think I want it to be nice and quiet?
Plus, not gonna lie, I had the same reaction the first time I saw a girl naked.
Damn.
I don't really know what to think of Nancy yet, so I will hold off judgment. She seems like a cliche, but I'm not sure what direction they're going in. So I'll talk more about her later. Okay, some random thoughts before I move on to predictions. The sound effect team, whatever you are paying them is not enough. Triple it. They are doing a fantastic job. From From the monster's weird ground noise to the squishy noises of the wall that makes it feel alive. They are nailing it. The 80s vibe is actually done really well. I feel nostalgic for a time I wasn't even alive. Smoking indoors, He-Man, cycling with your friends like a shitty biker gang. These days I'm guessing the boys would just Uber there.
Australia? Oh, man.
It is hard to believe there was a time that someone calling someone on the other side of the world was seen as something special. I call my friend in Aussie like once a month. It just reminds me what a crazy time we live in, technologically speaking. I mean, nowadays you can program a robot to be your friend and give it an Aussie personality and accent. What a time. Take us back. Next, as soon as I saw that diner guy, I knew he was a dead man. He even said the "I'm so gonna die" trigger line.
I didn't expect you so soon. It's a heck of a drive.
R.I.P. He seemed like a good guy and a sweetheart. Now about the mum. If you didn't know she was right, they did such a good job of making her look crazy. Imagine how pissed you'd be if you were her boss. She asked for a 2-week advance, which you're kind of reluctant to give her anyway because, you know, you got budgets and stuff to deal with. But you took pity. She's a good employee and the money was meant for her son. She comes back a few days later to buy Christmas lights. I would be asking for my money back. That being said, the letter writing on the wall, genius. I never would have thought of that. I'd be trying to learn Morse code like a moron.
Goff, is your favorite color teal?
Bro, what the fuck?
Finally, I kind of like the difference between Will being missing and Barb and how they handle it. The mum is not fucking around, she goes straight to the police. Nancy, on the other hand, at first is trying to balance the scales, finding Barb without getting in trouble.
You know what? I just remembered. She's at the library.
This feels like a very teenager thing to do. She isn't assuming the worst, and at this point she's trying to minimize parent involvement to avoid punishment. It just feels very realistic to me. Last random thought, these bullies are crazy. Like, beyond bully crazy. I mean, calling Lucas Midnight was insane, but I guess it was the 80s in a small American town. Sadly, a different era. I know they were going for a racial insult, but Midnight is kind of a sick nickname. It gives me like vigilante Batman vibes. Not justifying it, just saying it's a cool nickname. But this does sort of bring me to a pet peeve of mine. Not the racism, that's just terrible. What I mean is, I feel like it was weird that they were bullying them despite the fact they think their friend is dead. I don't know, my school was very strict on bullying, so it was always more subtle. But like in movies when they're bullying the kid with cancer or in a wheelchair, like there are kids processing their emotions badly and through misguided and demeaning actions creating lifelong trauma for the person affected, of course. But then there is evil.
Here's your problem. Someone set this thing to evil.
I just find it hard to believe that even the biggest piece of shit would not have some level of empathy to be like, maybe I should give them a few weeks mourning period. But I might be wrong. Great, so predictions. Let's start easy and then throw out some curveballs. 1, Elle's power has something to do with the other world. She can tap into some energy field or something, she's drawing power from it. I wonder if the blood has anything to do with the activation because Barb bled into the pool before the Gorgon showed up. So I'm thinking those two things might be related. Alternatively, there's going to be some physical damage to Elle using her power. I'm thinking like Sam in Supernatural, and she's going to keep pushing it further and further and then suffer from something. 3, there are other children in the lab. 11 is just the last. She is the 11th, but I don't think we'll see any of the other kids this season. Maybe in later seasons. 4, I think that Mike will be Elle's main love interest to a point. I think maybe end of season 1 he'll kiss Elle. They will be the first pairing. And then, and I know this is a bit of a Hail Mary, so don't judge me, I think Elle and Lucas are going to be a thing. No idea why. Look, I know you're probably judging me right now. I might be wrong, I might be right. You might be thinking, Jesus, what the fuck is this man thinking? Or you might be thinking, Jesus, this man is a genius. But I just have a feeling about it, so I decided to throw it out there. Sort of Ted, Barney, Robin situation. Also random one, I think that Jonathan will become a villain at some point. The abused gaining power to turn on the world that didn't appreciate him. Again, I don't think this will happen in season 1. Maybe like 2, 3. I just kind of get school shooter vibes from him. Okay, now predictions focusing just on the next 3 episodes. 1, obviously it will be revealed that the body wasn't Will's. I find it suspicious they didn't do a close up to his face, so I'm thinking maybe it's a different kid and they start investigating the lab. 2, I think Nancy will get closer to Jonathan to try and get information about the night that Barb disappeared. Steve will misunderstand the intention, get jealous, and then do something that'll make them break up. That will lead him into that bully arc that I was talking about. 3, I think that Elle can't stay hidden for much longer. My guess, Nancy finds her first, then the mum, and the dad never has any idea what's going on. 4. Elle will use her powers to fight the bully to protect her friends. Maybe she'll take it too far and hurt one of them excessively, like send them to the hospital. 5. I think the fact that Elle is a girl will throw off the police investigation because the witness called her a boy, and that will slow things down until like episode 6 or 7 when Hooper finally figures it out. 6. The hand radio will definitely be relevant somehow. They've shown it too many times for it not to be. My guess, it will allow them to talk between the dimensions. I also have a feeling it has something to do with the bigger radio they used to contact Australia. Maybe they need like a bit more juice, like the hand radio isn't enough. 7. I think it's inevitable that Jim will sneak into the lab but not understand what the fuck is going on. Alright, with that done, let's see how many of my predictions are right and move on to the next few episodes. Alright, so I was wrong about a lot of things, but let's look at the characters and what they've been up to first. So this has really been the part where things are ramping up. Understandably so, as it leads up to the finale. So let's give you a little reminder about what's been happening. I'll break it down by the groups because there's so much going on that it would be so annoying to do it chronologically. Let's start with the boys. Elle has contacted the other side and reached Will. Well, they can hear him, but he can't hear them, so they realize they need the stronger radio, and they realize that Elle looks like an escaped lunatic, so it's time for a makeover. So I can tick that one off on the win on the prediction scale. They decide the best time to do that is at Will's funeral, as people will be distracted. Honestly, we know that Will isn't dead. But if this was his actual funeral, that would be so sad. No one seems that bothered, everyone's just trying to get stuff done, and the bullies are still mocking the dead. Who raised these kids? They use the radio and it fries. Now Elle is coming between the boys. With Mike's crush and Lucas's distrust, they are letting a girl come between them, which is breaking the #1 rule of the bro code. Now Lucas has every reason not to trust Elle, as she messes with the compass that are leading them to the gate. Also, she almost kills him. She massively overreacted in that situation and he could have died. But you know, she later gains his trust by saving their lives and killing a van of government workers, as you do. This happens when they're on the run and have an ET moment, but you know, the more violent version. The boys to their Superman. Dustin is still the OG, as he becomes the catalyst of reuniting them, but otherwise he doesn't do much in terms of plot. The relationship between Mike and Elle is also ramping up as they almost kiss. This means that I am guessing they kiss in the finale. The bullies continue to be some of the worst people in history. There is being a bully, and there is putting a knife to someone's throat in order to get his friend to basically
Jump. Our toothless here gets an early trip to the dentist.
He threatened to rip out baby teeth because they made him wet himself. Look, I don't believe in hurting children, but if Dustin was my kid, it's time for some WWE. Just saying, this boy belongs in Guantanamo Bay or intense therapy. I will also take the win that Elle uses her power on the boy. I won't say she went too far. If anything, I would say break the other arm too. Maybe a few weeks of non-violence will teach this boy how to use his words. Now I have to say, and I'm really sad to say this, the D&D references are getting really old. Like, it was cute in the first few episodes, but now I feel like they've overdone it. And I'm like, okay, we get it. You're fantasy nerds. Maybe take the situation a bit more seriously. Elle's backstory also gets a lot more depth. What genuinely shocked me is that she was born with her abilities. I did not see that coming. I thought she was going to be Bruce Banner, not X-Men. I can't believe that my safe softball prediction is the one that I got wrong. She is still killing people, and I find myself concerned for the stark contrast between the innocent victim and the serial killer. Also, I did not expect there to be a backstory for her parents. A surprise for sure, but honestly, apart from the reveal that she was born with her powers, I felt like that whole scene was a little bit unnecessary. Let's move on to Nancy. Nancy decides it's time to come clean and tell someone who's finished puberty about Bob. And Steve is acting a bit like an ass. More concerned about getting in trouble than the welfare of the missing girl, which seems to be a common occurrence in this town. Between Hopper being more concerned if Will is straight in the first few episodes.
Called him a
Is he?
He's missing.
Which honestly made me laugh because where is your priorities, bro? And the police declaring that they think that Bob just ran away? Bro, you have 2 missing children in like a week. What are you talking about? Investigate. But either way, my other prediction also came to pass. Nancy and Jonathan are bonding, and honestly, Nancy is a little too chill about the creepy pictures. That puts a line between her and Steve as he sees them in her room together and he gets angry. His friends decide to play a prank and Nancy is hurt. Understandably so. Here is what I got wrong. Steve didn't really turn into an arsehole. Sure, he didn't stop his friends and he egged Jonathan on until he hit him, but I still respect the guy. Sue me. He started the fight, but he didn't let his friend join despite he was getting his ass beaten bloody.
Hey, get out of here! Get out of here! Get out of here!
I can respect someone who keeps a fight one-on-one. Plus, he defended Nancy in the end and went back to clean a mess he didn't even make. I'd say his response to the situation started petty, but grew to be respectable. Another shocker for me is that Nancy went to the other world and sees the monster realizing it responds to blood. She is slowly growing into her own, becoming a badass in her own right, rather than a damsel. I really like that. I think she's becoming one of my favorite characters, and I really can't wait to see what she does in the finale. It does make me question though, how did Will last so long in the other world without the Gorgon noticing? Like, just chilling in a fort? Did the Gorgon lose him after kidnapping him, or what's happening there? I need explanation, because unless they address it, it does feel a bit like a plot hole. Let's move on to Hopper, who is getting deeper and deeper into the conspiracy. After a conversation with the mum, Jim went to the morgue. When I saw Will's body, I was a bit confused because you guys know I thought it was going to be someone else. I have to admit the body double soft toy thing they went for was not what I expected. I also like the fact that Hopper seems to be solving all of his problems with just a punch to the face. I find it funny that police brutality is the answer and he's going through them like a game of boss battles, one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. Watching the paranoia slowly build as he finds the bugs, investigates the lab, and has to come to the grip that he don't know what the hell is going on is interesting. Especially this culmination in episode 7 when they all come together. Because that's what episode 7 is. Episode 7 brings all the Avengers together. You know, before watching it, I really thought that the boys were going to be the ones pushing the story forward, that they were going to be the star and the planets rotating around them. But I'm surprised at how balanced the show actually is between the characters. It feels like a giant puzzle with each character having a piece to contribute. The boys have Elle, Jim is investigating the conspiracy with the lab, Mum has Will, and Nancy has the monster. Going into the finale, it feels like each character is important in their own right, and together they have all the information rather than one person being filled in. Before we do go to the finale, however, random thought. Why is this teacher so knowledgeable? It feels suspicious. I'm sorry, this is a random high school teacher from the 80s who knows about parallel universe theories and how to build a sensory deprivation chamber at home. Okay, if you say so. I'm not buying it. At this point, he feels more like a Harvard scientist specialist, but we'll see. With now one episode left to go, this is my predictions for the finale, and let's see if I do better than last time. Let's start with the obvious one. Elle will fight the Gorgon. Big boss taken down by superpowered teenager, a story as old as time. I feel like Hopper will be the one who kills the businessman scientist guy, a bullet to the back while protecting Elle. That's my prediction for how that plotline will resolve. I think Mike will offer Elle to stay with him. That is when they kiss, but she won't end up going to his. I'm thinking maybe she goes back to her mum, like a heartfelt reunion. But then again, her mum has problems, so I'm not really sure how that will play out, so I'm curious. Will and Barb will be saved from the other world. It is a given. The story's been building up to it, and I can't imagine them ending it in such a dark way. I don't think that Steve will be a dick. It's too late. He has won my heart, and I wouldn't believe it. I think he will apologize to Nancy, but I don't think he'll end up with her. I want him to. They're two of my favorite characters. I actually think they're super cute together. I ship them. I doubt it. Honestly, at this point, I'm a little scared she's going to end up with Jonathan. No hate on Jonathan, but like, I don't really like them together after the whole photography bit. But my main bet is she's going to end this season single, with season 2 leading to her having all this like independence. Okay, with my predictions done, let's do this one last time and join me for the finale of Stranger Things season 1. Alright, boys and girls, we are done. And what can I say? I can't predict shit. I swear I used to be good at this, telling how things were going to end. I can't believe I have to edit and release my dumbass public humiliation. But whatever, let's review what happened in the season 1 finale. So with episode 7 bringing everyone together, episode 8 separates the teams again. Jim and Mum go to the other world. I'm going to be honest, they don't do much. Their whole story arc is, oh, look at that cool thing. Holy shit, is that a dragon egg? Yes, I know they save Will at the end, but there is numerous plots of them just wandering around. Jim did not kill Papa? I guess that's what I gotta call him, better than scientist businessman, like I expected. But that honor was instead given to the Gorgon. Jim getting a backstory with his daughter was also not something I expected. I sort of like the fact that he was able to resolve his grief by saving another child. He felt useless back then because there's not much you can do in that situation, but here he was able to actually accomplish a lot. However, he did not have a moment with the mum. Why do you set up that they have history and do nothing with it? I'm sorry that I wanted these two damaged people to find a little bit of happiness in this world. God forbid. Also, Is he feeding the Gorgon in the woods, or is that L? I'm leaning towards L because it's waffles, and I doubt a giant plant monster will want to eat Waffle House, but I'm very curious where they go with that storyline. Also, poor Barb, man. Completely forgotten in the story. I know they showed her earlier and she was in a state, but I assumed she would be saved. Why is she just a random victim? She didn't even get a funeral. Everyone just kind of forgot about her. Let's go save Will. I'm sorry, she deserved better. She seemed like a sweet girl.
I will remember you.
Now, this is gonna be controversial, but Nancy's group, useless. I'm sorry, they are awesome. Nancy brandishing a gun and Jonathan with a bat straight out of Walking Dead, awesome. However, hear me out. Realistically, if you remove their contributions, what did they really do? Nothing. They didn't defeat the Gorgon. I guess you could argue they kept the Gorgon occupied during the rescue mission, but they're basically the Z fighters. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha just holding back the monster until Goku, in this case L, comes to end them. Like, I don't know, I feel like they do deserve better. Especially my boy Steve. Yes, I'm calling him my boy now. He is my favorite character. This man came to apologize to Jonathan. Can we deep that? He thinks this man stole his girl and knows for a fact that he beat the living daylight out of him, and he still came to apologize to him. He wasn't even mad that Nancy was there. And then after running away, he looks back and he's like, this is my time to be a hero. And he comes back swinging. Seriously, what was that flip baseball move? That's just aura farming. That was so unnecessary and I loved it. And the ending, when Nancy got Jonathan that camera and kissed him on the cheek, I was like, ah, God. I didn't want them to end up together. But then having Steve and Nancy cuddling up on the couch, melted. So happy it ended that way, ship it all the way. A win is a win, boys. Finally, the boys and 11, they mostly chilled this episode, with Elle really holding up the team. Like I said, she's the Goku of the Z Fighters. She killed like 5 people in this episode and 1 Gorgon. She's been carrying her weight just like I knew she would. And this is where my prediction landed perfectly, a 3-pointer. Mike kissed her, he offered for her to stay, and she killed the Gorgon. Obviously not completely correct, as I did not expect her to go all Jedi with her vanishing act. Also why I didn't get it right is Mike's parents never find out that Elle is staying at their house. They are sort of irrelevant if I'm being completely honest. But you know, not everyone can be relevant, there's a lot of characters, so whatever. But the scene where Elle is walking up to the Gorgon with the bloodshot eyes as her powers are slowly building up, that was a masterpiece, I ain't gonna lie. The music, the aura, the powers, the screams, everything just came together really beautifully. Weirdly though, I kind of prefer the fight with the teenagers, Nancy's group. I felt like there was more creativity in it and more tension, the traps, the gun, the fire. That means that when they won, it felt earned. Although Jonathan, buddy, I'm not gonna lie to you, just let the house burn down. This is a mythical creature from your worst nightmares. Accept that the house is cursed, salt the earth, and hope that the fire doesn't spread. But what you don't want to do is use a fire extinguisher. Just let it go. Either way, the day is saved. Will has returned, RIP Barbs, and the Gorgon has been defeated, with the only loss being Elle, but I know she's coming back. Now let's think way back when to the beginning of the video. I was right about the first part about Will being saved and changed, but it was a pretty easy guess if I'm being honest. It's kind of what the story's about. Weirdly though, I would have liked if they had done sort of an Oliver Queen style change where he's toughened up a bit, more independent and resourceful given the trauma. But I know this isn't that kind of story and he's not given that kind of experience. He's vomiting slugs now, I guess. So predictions moving forward with season 2 and beyond. Will is obviously shown to be some kind of catalyst between the two worlds. Whatever they were feeding him has obviously teared down the veil. My guess is that will be the focus of the beginning of the next season and later used in some way to solve the problem. The classic started as a curse turned into something more. That being said, and this is more of a hope, not a prediction, it would be quite dark if they had to sacrifice Will to seal the gate for good. After all they did to save him, now they have to sacrifice him to keep everyone else safe. It would be kind of great storytelling, I'm not gonna lie. Elle is obviously coming back. That is not even a prediction. I know she's in the later seasons. I'm guessing end of episode 1 season 2. I actually hope they keep her away until at least episode 3. I think this will really give Will a chance to shine with his new powers / curse. I'm trying to think of this from the perspective of someone who doesn't know that she's alive. I think I wouldn't believe it, but I feel like by episode 3 I could be half convinced. I'm not entirely sure where she's gone as well. I want to say the other world, but then came out somewhere random and had to road trip back, which is why it took her a while. It would be cool if they revealed she was like locked in battle with the Gorgon the whole time and was like keeping it at bay, because I know the Gorgon is coming back. Okay, I don't know like I knew with Elle, but I think. It just seems like too of an iconic look to let it go. I have a feeling that Nancy's going to break up with Steve, like sort of the end of season 2. I'm not sure why, but I get that feeling. Again, I hope she doesn't end up with Jonathan, but it's feeling more and more likely. Not sure how I feel about that. That being said, I am going to accept that Jonathan is not the villain I thought he was going to be. I am willing to accept that the photo moment was a temporary lapse in judgment and see him for who he is. A good guy with a kind heart. I will take the loss on that one. I'm changing my prediction. I don't know why, but I genuinely thought he was going to be the Colossal Titan guy. Like, he was going to be corrupted by the other side, gain powers, and have a whole new look. So that's who I thought the Colossal guy was. I thought that was going to be Jonathan. But yeah, I actually think that Nancy will be single because she'll be like, I want to be independent and accomplish shit alone, and they're going to break up. I think Jim will be working with the lab to accomplish something. Not really sure what. I'm thinking maybe explore the other world more, like, oh, you're the only person who came back alive, so we'd like you to go back in there and see what you can get out. That box with food is obviously going to be relevant for something, but I already mentioned my thoughts on that. Now, I really don't know what to think about the boys and where their story goes. Like, I know Mike will be sad about Elle and then excited when she's back. I think I was on the right path with the love triangle. I just think I was wrong about the girl. It'll probably be a character we haven't been introduced to yet that'll come between the boys. I'm thinking between Mike or Lucas, or maybe even Lucas and Dustin. But I think Lucas will definitely be involved in that love triangle somehow. The main focus at the beginning of season 2 will be dealing with Will and his vomiting slug issues. But my guess is that the boys will find that out pretty quickly, the same way that they found out about Elle's power pretty quickly. Maybe episode 1 or episode 2 of season 2. We'll see how that plays out. Weirdly though, I don't think they'll be bullied anymore. Again, I know that Dustin and Steve bond, so my guess is they'll gain some level of protection from that, maybe even get popular, but who knows. So my thoughts on the season as a whole now that I finished it. I felt like it was really smooth. Not sure if it was originally meant to be one season, but the pace is so high in such a good way. Most of the time there's something happening, and I like the fact that it was a group effort. Everyone is dealing with the consequences, not just the boys. I felt like the boys didn't get much in terms of development. I know they were doing this like contrasting scene of D&D at the beginning with Will and D&D at the end with Will, but I didn't really feel like that was much of a change. Which is honestly a shame, because every other character got their chance to shine and change. The teenagers had way more development than them, except for Steve, who is perfect, and I hope his character doesn't change. Like, everyone grows, but the boys don't. But either way, the music, the sound effects, I cannot get over the sound effects. The lighting, the story, the character, it all came together so nicely for this like homage of 80s horror. That being said, and hear me out here, I'm not entirely sure I quite understand yet how it became such a Netflix flagship. Don't get me wrong, it was a great season, but there are so many great shows out there, and I don't really feel like it's above those to become this kind of like flagship that it's become. But then again, I had the same opinion about the first season of Breaking Bad and BoJack Horseman, and I ended up completely jumping on the hype train with that. BoJack Horseman is literally one of my favorite shows. And this first season of Stranger Things is better than either of those shows' first season, especially BoJack Horseman. It had a really bad first season. Honestly, it feels weird after all these years finally saying that I've watched it. Feels like I'm absorbing all the fandom energy. All I can hear is one of us chanting in my head now. And you know, now I actually get the Halloween costumes and the references. I'll be one of the cool kids. Well, either way, let me know what you thought of the video and the show as a whole. I'm hoping to have watched the whole show before the series finale so that I can enjoy it with all of you. I do want to make videos similar to this one for every season, but I just want to know that's something you guys want, as it's a crazy amount of time commitment. We're talking like 60 hours of work per video, and I have a full-time job apart from this. So I'll be using subscriber growth from this video as like an estimate of interest. So if that does sound like something you'd want, I'd absolutely love to take that journey with you guys. I loved making this video. I loved watching the show. I also have other videos that I could do. So just let me know what you want. And you know, if you feel the love, give me a like and a comment. It only takes a second for you, but it could change the whole future for me. And I like that future. A future where I make more videos for you guys. Does that not sound beautiful? We could make that future together. So either way, you have no idea how much I appreciate all the engagement and all the watch. Like, it really is incredible. I'm really happy to have you guys. I love each and every one of you guys, unless you aren't a subscriber, and then I just really, really like you. Either way, that brings us to the end of today. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's slightly longer than my other videos, so I appreciate the time commitment. And you know what? Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.